This week, we read from a Torah portion that invites us to buy both a vowel and a consonant, B'ha'alotcha. It tells us mostly of some of the arrangements that had to be made in building of the tabernacle and the construction of the menorah that was in there. But at the very end, we are told of a very different part of the story. Out of nowhere, Aaron and Miriam begin lambasting Moses for his choice of a wife. A Cushite woman, we are told she was, which perhaps was tinged with discrimination based on the color of her skin, because as far as we know, Cush was another name for the land of Ethiopia, where people had significantly more melanin in their skin than in other places. But whatever it was about Moses' wife, what really Aaron and Miriam did is they othered her. They thought of her as less than because she was from the land of Cush. And they wondered aloud who Moses thought he was to marry a woman like that. Miriam was punished, stricken with tzara'at, a skin condition often called leprosy, although it really wasn't. Hansen's disease as you and I know it today. And Moses, we are told, was a man of great modesty of all the people in the land. And magnanimously, he prayed for her to be healed. For some reason, this Torah portion always comes out in difficult and challenging times. A few years ago, we read this Torah portion the week after events around the murder of George Floyd. We read it tonight on Pride Shabbat. And as I was reading this story, I could not help but think of the history of the lambasting, the othering of members of the LGBTQ plus community in our nation and really around the world. It calls to mind for me those who would have blamed gay and lesbian folk for disasters, despicable. Thinking of the AIDS epidemic as a punishment deserving those who received it. You may remember that after Hurricane Katrina, some would have suggested that New Orleans was deserving of that punishment because of its prominent LGBTQ community. And even to today, there are those in our area, in our state, and in our country who would warn against making relationship, hiring, trusting, employing LGBTQ folk for fear of our children, our prosperity, continuing to today. We observe Pride in June because June 28th and into the 29th was when the Stonewall riots took place in 1969, when the police attacked the gays and lesbians who were taking advantage of the Stonewall Inn. But for the first time, or one of the first times, the community fought back and sought to defend and protect itself, kicking off the gay rights movement. But the Stonewall riots happened for the same reason that Aaron and Miriam called Moses' wife that Cushite woman, because the New York police wanted to other those who were there, thinking of them as deserving of derision, of animus, and violence. At the end of this episode, as I mentioned before, Moses prays for Miriam's healing. El na rafanala. Please, God, heal her, please. God, we need a lot of healing. El na rafan alam. God, heal those who have felt the wrath of homophobia, transphobia, violence, and hatred. Surround them with love, reminding them that they are created B'Tselem Elohim, cherished divine beings. El na rafana lanu. God, please Heal us, please. Heal us of our historical prejudices, our fears, and our preconceived notions about those who are made of flesh and blood, who may express their love differently, but love equally. El na rafana lanu, heal us from our blinders that have blocked our view of the humanity and the divinity of our friends and our neighbors, and empower us to turn our swords of hatred into pruning hooks of love. On this Pride Shabbat, may we rejoice in the blessing that is the LGBTQ plus folk in our community, and may we be invigorated to build a more welcoming, a more tolerant, and more celebratory community for all. Shabbat Shalom.